Hello everyone, today this is TPA Talks and I am Lala and I'll be here with Mr. Pastor Harris and I'll ask you a couple of questions for this podcast today. How did your church impact the changes in Durkeeville?
Thank you, Ms. Lala, for that question. How did our church impact the changes? Some 30 plus years ago, when we came to Jacksonville, the church was located right there in the edge of what is known as Durkeeville. The Durkeeville was actually a public housing unit, projects, as they used to call them. And because of the community and what we were trying to do as far as community engagement and community redevelopment, we started with a group of people that was concerned about all of the activities, the crime, whatever else might be existing there, and the age of the Durkeeville public housing units, which was built in 1936, and so they were of quite some age behind them. So my church was the nucleus of where we met to plan, to write, to hold meetings so that we might be able to get the community, the city, and the federal government involved into doing something about the changes of the public housing unit.
Mm-hmm. I like that because it's also important to help out, in those times and near where you guys were helping. So I think that's a special thing that you guys worked and helped on. And I'm very glad to hear that it kind of worked out. Where did you grow up?
I grew up as a small child in Maryland, on the eastern shore of Maryland. I was born actually in Georgia, but we moved to Maryland in 1945, and I was a small kid at that time. Mm-hmm. So I grew up there, and I went to elementary, high school, and college there in Maryland.
Wow, that sounds nice, actually. Tell me about yourself.
About me?
Yes.
There's not a lot about me in a sense, but I've done a lot of traveling, a lot of working within the communities. In the communities that I've lived in New Jersey, in Maryland, in Tallahassee, and coming to here. I was pastoring a church in Tallahassee, and therefore I was able to come to Jacksonville and pastor a church in Jacksonville, which was in the Durkeeville community.
Mm-hmm. How did you become a pastor, actually?
How? Yeah. When I was at the age of 8, I accepted my call. I desired to be baptized and follow Christ because I had already spent my life in church. Everything I knew about myself, I was involved in church. And at the age of 8, I said that I had wanted to be a preacher because I loved what I saw the preacher doing as far as changing lives. Mm-hmm. But not until probably 30 years later, almost, did I accept my call into the ministry and did my first sermon so that I would be able to share my gifts of preaching. And from there, I went into seminary to study so that I would have a deeper knowledge of what was taking place.
Mm-hmm. What does Durkeeville really mean to you?
Durkeeville is a place of change. You see, the Oaks of Durkeeville actually has been a rebirth of the lives of individuals. It was a public housing unit. Durkeeville was a public housing unit that was built right there in the mid-town of Jacksonville. They said it was the Midwest side of Jacksonville. And the public housing unit that was built there had over 200 units in it, 290 units in there, but they was all small units. It was one way in and one way out. You had cul-de-sacs, and it was almost like a compound. And many people on public assistance lived in Durkeeville. But the new Durkeeville, what we call the Oaks of Durkeeville, was a change in lifestyle for a lot of people, a change in building structure, a change in the mindset of people because it was new. It changed the lives of a lot of people. We created more of a mixed use rather than just a single unit, single issue unit where just people lived there. We created a mixed use. We had stores put in there. We had different services put in, social services, and also we had seniors and regular families living in there. The outer perimeter of the new Oaks of Durkeeville was surrounded with 29 single-family homes, which was a part of it where individuals could buy their homes, those 29 homes that lived there.
Wow, that's amazing actually to hear. Especially since everyone was able to, have a home. Since some people weren't able to get homes, I think that's important. Because you wouldn't want families or students who were just starting off as their own to not have a place to stay. What is the change you are most proud of?
The change that we're most proud of is the aesthetic view of what it looks like. Because now it is a part of the community. And the other changes is that the lives that was actually impacted by the change of the aesthetics and change of the view, and then the social services that came in to help people. So I'm just proud that it became a community and a part of a greater community.
Basically a better place where everyone can come.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
No matter what you look like, no matter how you act, just a space for everyone.
Everyone, yes.
Well, a couple questions I am very eager to ask. It's kind of hard to explain them, so what I'll say here is, when you were in Durkeeville helping everyone, did you ever want to add anything of your own in perspective?
Well, I wanted to try to instill hope into the community, into the people there. And if we could add in that avenue of opportunity for people to realize that just because you live in public housing, it's not a dead-end street. You have an opportunity to grow up, to grow out, and to become a part of the citizens that would actually be a part of what is going on in the community.
Like in a successful way, basically?
Basically, yes, a successful way.
Okay. When you were in Durkeeville, how many people impacted your way of seeing Durkeeville?
It was a group. It was not just one individual. It was the church that I pastored, Mount Olive Primitive Baptist Church, that family of people. It was also St. Pius Catholic Church and School. That was also a part of it. It was the Durkeeville Resident Management Group that was the residents was a part of it. It was also Edward Waters College at that time, which is Edward Waters University now. And it was Good Neighbor Mania, Myrtle Avenue Neighborhood Improvement Association. It was a collective community effort to make it better because it impacted the entire community.
Going into the future, what would you like to see Durkeeville become?
I think it has evolved into a place of residence, but I'd like for it to be a place that anyone would want to just be a part of, to live there, to be involved and a part of that.
As someone who has gone to Durkeeville, like the neighborhood, and has visited the ballpark, and has seen it a couple times, I would like to research more about it and see how it can impact others. So what advice can you give me and other people to look into it and research how old it's been there and how we can change it?
Right on the corner of Myrtle Avenue and 19th Street, 20th Street, MLK, is the Durkeeville Historical Society. Mm-hmm. And if you went there, they have the pictures, they have the history, all of that. I would say that that is a starting point. Right there, the Durkeeville Historical Society, where after the rebuilding of Durkeeville, the Historical Society received a grant, and it has been a catalyst of knowing who Durkeeville is. All of the history of Durkeeville basically is found in that building there. Mm-hmm. So it's right there on the corner of MLK Parkway and Myrtle Avenue.
How long were you a pastor for?
43 years I've been pastoring.
Wow, that's amazing. And how many families and people in general have you helped?
I could not tell you over the years. I don't know how many. I don't know how many babies I've blessed. I don't know how many couples I've married. I don't know how many persons I've funeralized. But I do have records of them. It is numerical. I mean, it is numerous.
For being a pastor for 43 years, I'm very proud to say that you're doing an amazing job, sir. And I just want to say another question. When you became a pastor, the first couple of years, was it rough or easy?
It was rough because oftentimes you see people doing things and you think that that's easy, that can be done. But when you get into it, because you have a diverse group of people that you are dealing with, you're speaking with, you're trying to lead, how do you mesh all of them together? And you have to do it through study, through prayer, through consulting with God, asking God to give you the direction. And therefore, the first couple of years, it was getting rid of me and allowing more of God.
Mm-hmm. When you were growing up, what was your favorite activities to do? Because
of what I was doing, where I lived, and the type of things that I did, mine was athletic sports per se. I ran track. I did things of that nature in school. I loved drama. I loved to sing. I wasn't much of a good singer, but I was a public person. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any family members who are still with you and supporting you in you being a pastor?
Yes. The one that keeps calling me is my wife.
Oh, wow.
And I have family. I have a daughter. I have a granddaughter. All live in Tallahassee. And so, yes, my family is very close to me as far as the work that I do in ministry.
So, Lala, I want you to wrap it up by telling him thank you for all he's done and thank you for the time, and we can just wrap that up. So thank you for all he's done for Durkeeville. Just a couple of final words.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Sorry, start over. Just start over.
Remind me your name?
Pastor
Harris.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Pastor Harris, for coming on to TPA Talks. I really appreciate it. I took in a lot of your wisdom and your words, and I'm very glad you came here to spread the word and to talk with us today. Thank you. Any last words you would like to say?
Thank you for having me, and thank you, Miss Lala, for being such a gracious host there and doing such a wonderful job, too. And you told me you was nervous, but you did a great job, and I do appreciate that, too. And it's not Mr. Pastor Harris, it's just Pastor Harris.
Sorry.
Can you talk for me one more time?
Yes.
Okay, keep talking. You can say whatever.
Whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Just making sure you're not clipping.
I'm not trying to be rude.
No, you're okay. You're good. I don't mind. I understand I'm a quiet person. But yeah, you can ask me any questions that you want to ask.
How long you been working here?
So I actually started here just about a month ago at TPA. I actually got asked to do a Truth and Proof performance as a musician. I'm a musician. I do cello, bass, guitar. I do like a lot of funk music usually. And while I was there, they asked me if I could come and teach podcasting, if I knew anything about it. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Okay, that's good. I'm quiet, so.
No, it's okay.
Bruh, I don't want to do this.
You want to do it?
I don't want to do this. Why y'all gotta be doing this?
That's okay. If you don't want to do it,
I don't want to do it.
okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And cut right there.